Hey everyone, we're Chris and Sandy with the Chris Bitten Show. We get up close and personal with some amazing guests throughout the entertainment industry. And today, like I say on every episode, we got a great one for you. Who do we have?
Today, we're diving into the heart of Outlaw Country with none other than Creed Fisher. Known for his raw, unapologetic lyrics and music that speaks to the heart, Creed is redefining country music one hit at a time.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So how's the weather there where you're at?
It's not too bad. It's warmed up a little bit. It was cold this last week. They
Here
actually
too.
got some snow down here, and they're not used to that. So
Us
We
too.
did too.
Yeah. It's warming up.
South Georgia.
Yeah, our last snow was in 2018, and we beat that. I think if we didn't beat the record snow here, it was like at the edge of it.
Yeah. It doesn't happen very often. So I'm glad it's warming back up. I'm tropical. I don't like that stuff.
Same way. I mean, we live in Savannah, Georgia for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was pretty cool that our 5-year-old got to experience snow for the first time. She was so excited.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, little Chris, our 13-year-old, he experienced it in 2018, so this was his second time.
Yes.
Probably didn't even remember it.
Probably didn't much from this. Now, your music is known for being authentic and unapologetic, straight from the heart of real life. What first inspired you to take this bold approach in your songwriting, and how has that shaped your journey in country music?
Well, I got into it later in life. I think that helped. I didn't get
Yeah.
into music till I was in my mid-30s. So
Oh,
I think
wow.
by that point, I'd already formed a pretty solid opinion on life,
Right. Yeah.
And not only that, had been through some heartaches and some hard times. And I think all that stuff helped. I was kind of,
That's a country song.
and growing up, being raised by my grandpa and just seeing how he was. And he was a very strong man and very honest man. And just the way he carried himself, and that kind of rubbed off on me. And I think at that point, I was going through a divorce,
Wow.
Yeah.
and it just came natural, to be honest with you. I was getting into songwriting at such a late age. It's kind of, not the norm, but it seemed to come easy once I started it and got, the first few months, I kind of just got better and better at it. And, I think I just try to, be like my grandpa was, is where it comes from.
Was there, when did it click that this could be a career? Because going from starting music to actually now it's a career, when did that aha moment come? Or was
It
there
was
an aha
sometime,
moment?
and I think it was around, it kind of began in 2019. And obviously we all know 2020 was a rough year.
Yes.
And then in 2001, we started noticing that our crowds kept getting bigger and bigger, and we kept consistently having bigger and bigger crowds. And that was the kind of moment where I said, okay, we've kind of turned a corner, because we had been working for years, touring all over, working hard, and we had finally started seeing the fruits of our labor, and it's people starting to, crowds starting to be at every show. And that was nice. It's about 2021.
So tell us a little bit about your past with football and all that.
Well, I grew up out in Odessa, Midland, Texas, where Friday Night Lights and football team.
Right.
Grew up down the street from Ratliff Stadium. Actually went to Odessa High School. And then, so football was always a big part of our lives there. High school football is huge. And I had concussion problems in high school and didn't get to be a part of that. And as I got out of high school and was trying to see if maybe, I could go to college somewhere playing football or whatnot. I don't know, man. During that time of my life, I just fell off the deep end, man. I just started getting into drinking, and
Wow.
and at the time I was going to college, and the next thing I knew, I needed something. I knew I needed a change, for the better, and so I enrolled in the Army
Oh,
in
wow.
1993, rather. Sorry, 1993. I went to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, for basic, and then I went to Aberdeen Proving Grounds. I was a mechanic, And so the Army really, even though I didn't really fit in that well because I was always painted outside the lines, it really helped me grow up a little bit, and where I could be at
Come here.
work on
Yeah.
time, and just gave me some discipline. And so I think just coming out of the Army, I never got to get rid of that love for football that I had, So I signed up for the minor league team in the town we lived in, and I played minor league football for 9 years.
Oh, wow.
And I also coached youth football for about 6 years.
Now, what have you taken from your football years into country music that's benefited you?
Teamwork will be the biggest thing.
Wow,
Yes.
that's good.
Football's the ultimate team game. And I think anytime you run a business, it's the same way. You're only as good as your weakest link in your chain. And
Mhm.
I think just building people up, and because that's kind of, as a coach, that's what I did. I was
Mhm.
I never motivated through the negative energy. I always motivated through the positive.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I always felt that was a better way to do it. And so I think music's the same way. I try to lead by example, especially these days. Now, granted, everybody knows in the past I've had some rowdy times. I had kind of have a reputation for that, but when I passed
Kind of
out
like
on the
Johnny
stage,
Cash.
and I'm not going to go into detail about whys and hows, but I ended up passing out on the stage in Little Rock, Arkansas,
Oh, wow.
in a show, and that was kind of a turning point for me, uh, as far as drinking goes. And that was a few months before my wreck.
Mm.
So I think between my wreck and passing out on the stage, it really was an eye opener for me personally. And I try to give the fans a good show and give them their money's worth these days.
If you don't
That's
mind,
awesome.
tell us a little bit about the wreck. If that was a turning point.
No, absolutely was a turning point in my life, for the better. Even though I wouldn't recommend it, breaking your pelvis in
Yeah.
half.
Wow.
My goodness.
No, I was in St. Cloud, Minnesota. I
Mhm.
was up there at a place called Raleigh's, playing a show, pretty much sold out show. And my buddy brought a couple bikes down for us to go ride. We were out riding, rode to a fan's house who had made me a souvenir. He had made me a plaque,
Mhm.
very, very large plaque that said American Outlaw on it, like my
Oh, wow.
girlfriend does. And
Yeah.
I went out to his house and was there about an hour, and then it was time for us to go back. And we were, GPS was very sketch out there,
Right.
and we were not from there, so we didn't, we kind of knew how to get back, but I didn't want to get lost.
Right.
Like an hour and a half before a showtime on a sold out show.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't want to get lost and then not be able to find the bar or his house.
Yeah.
But so I requested them somebody lead us back, and for whatever reason, the guy that led us back, it was, I don't know what the word is, man. He didn't act very good. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, wow.
He took off. Number one, he took off as fast as he could. Was having a hard time even keeping up with him. And now keep in mind, we're only going 4 miles back to the club where I'm playing,
Yeah.
the bar where I'm playing.
Right.
Yeah.
Not as far
We're on
as
a little two lane country road where the speed limit's 60. This
oh,
guy takes off at 75 or 80.
not
Oh, wow.
good.
And so, to make a long story short, I was trying to keep up with him. He ended up missing his turn because he was going too fast,
Mhm.
obviously. And he stopped in front of me for whatever reason. I don't know what he thought. I was trying to shut my bike down,
Yeah.
and it wasn't gonna make it. I didn't want to slam on the brakes and go down.
Right.
And so I went into oncoming traffic because that was really the only place he left me to go. There wasn't any
Oh,
cars
wow.
coming. And I'll be darned if he didn't take a U-turn 3 seconds before I was going to pass him right into my
Oh, wow.
lane that I was in.
Crazy.
And so I hit him right in between the gas tank and the seat.
Mm.
And he was kind of stopped when I hit him. So he went flying. and he had a couple scrapes, but yeah, I went down hard and broke my pelvis in half
Mm.
and
Oh,
almost bled to death on the side of the road, unfortunately, because we were out in the middle of nowhere. Took the ambulance about 20 minutes to get out there,
Wow.
wow.
and when they got me to the hospital, my blood pressure was 60/30.
Mm.
Mm.
I was having all kinds of near-death experiences. I don't. We won't even get. That's for another time. But
Understand.
I ended up making it, and I made a full recovery. And so now I'm just working hard at getting getting not only back to where I was, but being better than I was before.
Love that. Yeah, at least you've recovered and all that. Because I went through
Yes.
myself 19 years of addictions. I've been sober now 17 years.
Yeah,
She's kind of the reason. Her and God helped heal me.
that's awesome to
um,
hear.
so, as you know, a lot of people, they see the glory in everything you do now, but they don't see the grind, the sacrifice, the tears, the struggles it takes to get to any level within the entertainment industry. And most people don't really talk about this side, but we do, because I think it's the most important side to the entertainment industry, so people can see kind of a back of the spotlight. So tell us a little bit about that side of it. What is the grind really like?
Well, I think for me personally, I was in the oil field. I worked in the oil field for 23 years before I was able to quit.
Mhm.
From the time I was 20 to the time I was 43 when I finally quit and moved to do music full time. And so I have that working experience. I have that background of, life of a working man out in the oil field. I was a journeyman electrician. And so I feel just that gives me a different perspective than if I had just gotten into music, coming out of school
Yeah.
or whatever. So I don't view it as a grind because I have been in the real grind,
Yeah.
but
Because
it
kind
definitely
of
does
grind.
have its aspects of, things that you have to learn how to deal with. And the biggest one I would say is being away from people you love is the hardest part.
Oh, yeah,
Uh, that's
absolutely.
something that other than FaceTime, you really can't do anything about. You just try to manage it the best you can. Flying home is huge for me, I know. But other than that, you have to create a routine on the road that's something like what you have at home, so you don't go, it doesn't drive you crazy or make you where you don't find the love to do it anymore, because
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
get sick of doing it. So I've just found a way to create a routine when I'm on the road where it's, and I've had to change that routine as I've gotten healthy. you know, at one time that routine included 6 o'clock vodka drink,
Oh, yeah.
but now these days it's like, okay, 6 o'clock, it's time to, work out with your weights on the bus or go for a walk, and then, uh, so that's the hardest part on the road is just creating a routine and I love what I do though. So for me personally, it doesn't seem like a grind. Now I tell you what I don't like. I
Mhm.
don't like that waking up at 5 in the morning to fly home business.
Oh, that's gonna be tough.
That's
Yeah.
that they can keep that, but that's really the hardest part of what I do is the early mornings getting up and flying home
Yeah.
because I don't ever fly early when I fly there. It's
Right.
always when I fly home that I have to fly early. So sometimes I'll be in an airport at 6:30 in the morning, having to, wait a couple hours before my plane leaves. But
I understand about the routine because for the longest while, I bucked the routine thing because, we work from home and everything we do. So I've been able to get up when I want to get up. And I've always said I've always said I'm a night owl. And so I like to get up later and sleep and stay up later. And I guess all of a sudden God decided to change that for me because one morning I got up at like 6 o'clock. And then I got so much done before I even started the day. And I'm sitting there like, okay, I kind of like this. The next morning got up at 6 o'clock. I was like, oh, I like that. So now I'm kind of more of where I do get up around. I don't get up earlier than 6 normally. I mean, like this morning was 5:45, but I definitely understand what you're talking about routine.
yeah, because that's another thing that I have to kind of keep an eye on is the difference between when I'm home and when I'm on the road, because when I'm on the road, my hours of operation are a little different, you know. I
Yeah.
try to sleep till at least 10, if not 11
Yeah.
on the road, because I'm going to be up till 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Right.
And then when I'm home, I tend to wake up about 9:30, 10 o'clock, but I'll go to sleep about 11, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I just, you know, everybody's different in that way. Me personally, I hate having to get up. I like for
Yeah.
my body to just wake up on its
That's how
own.
Naturally, yeah.
That's how
And
I
if,
feel.
if I can do that, then I will stay up as long as it takes to get the job done. That's how I am, you know. I hate that alarm clock. I cannot stand that thing.
Oh,
That's the
I
worst,
agree
if you
there.
ask me, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Same
Out of
here.
everything I do on the road and everything I do, that alarm clock getting me up at 6 in the morning, that's the worst. But
So, what's a lesson you've learned from a failure?
well, I always say, don't let someone else tell you how to fail. You know, learn how to fail on your own. You
Oh,
know,
I love that.
Yeah. Oh, that's
that way, when you look in the mirror at the end of the day, you can blame yourself and you don't have to blame someone else. And then
yeah.
you can figure out how, you know, Thomas Edison said he didn't fail. He just learned 99 times how not to do it,
Yep.
you know?
Exactly. Mhm.
And so that's kind of how I view it. You know, I just try not to get too hard on myself these days. I mean, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and, you know,
And
thinking you're going to
expect a
get a
different
different
result.
result, you know? So I've tried to learn my lessons, you know, and, you know, do what I know I need to do to, uh, to have a long career in music. You know, I really enjoy what I do, writing, just everything about the business. I really enjoy. I'm never going to be a mainstream artist. You know, I'm not one of these artists that Sony's going to come. Oh, we got to have Creed Fisher over here. We just can't. You know, no. I'm 50 years old. I'm like a I'm literally like the Hank Jr. song "Dinosaur" over there. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
they would much rather, because you have to understand, when you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to something else. You know.
Yeah.
They would
Exactly.
much rather, and I'm glad they would much rather, because even if they asked me, I'd say no. But they would
Yeah.
much rather sign an artist that's 25 years old, you know,
Mhm.
that's going to be doing this for the next 40 years, as
Right.
opposed to me, where I've got probably 15 left. You know, at a certain point, I'm going to be a cattle rancher,
Mhm.
and just, you
Mhm.
know, that's what I want to
And
do.
just retire that way. Yeah.
I'm just going to retire and be a cattle rancher. It's, you know, at a certain point. Now, I'll always put on music. I'll always. But you know, I don't know, man, because my music is very dynamic. You know,
Mhm.
I get on
Mhm.
that stage and I run around like, you know, my favorite artist in the rock genre is Ozzy, Black
Oh wow.
Sabbath. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
and so when I play, you know, I it's kind of a mix between just good old traditional country honky tonk
Mhm.
Love
music
that. Mhm.
and, you know, some kind of high energy southern rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I can't see myself on that stage at 65 years old, you know, running around and jumping around and stuff. I think at a certain point, my music's going to have to change, and I'm ready for that change. You know, I did a show one time where I played. It was at the Levitt in Fort Worth, Arlington,
Mhm.
Texas, and it was with my studio band. And I don't ever play shows with my studio band, and I got to play songs that I never play.
Oh
You
wow.
know,
Oh,
songs I never play. And it was so cool, you know. And so I kind of think when I get at that age, that's probably what I'll end up doing. But I want to be a cattle rancher, you know. I want to just kind of get
Well, that's
away
the
at
dream.
the end of it, you know, all, and just get away and just kind of
yeah.
go do my thing at that point.
Being that you've been, you said that everything has been, you've done all this against all the odds um, so far. How have you managed to keep this going and still stay authentic? Because that's what I think when you look at let's say mainstream country, I think sometimes that warps people. How have you not been warped by music?
I mean, I got to give a lot of credit to God, you know. I couldn't have done this on my own, and there was a lot of times. I mean, I've made a lot of mistakes that
Mhm.
could have cost me my career.
Wow.
Financial mistakes, which will cost you your career just as easy as, you know, passing out on a stage, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just have to give all the credit to God, and You know, we all know that, you know, things happen and that we can't explain in ways we can't explain in God's time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I just have to say it has to be my granddad and how I saw the way he was. And I really admired how he was. And I've always kind of wanted to be like he was. And between that and how he raised me, just the good Lord, you know, keeping me on track. And I think now I'm to a point where I've grown up to where I'm like, okay, you know, I don't want to mess this up anymore. I'm ready to finally succeed and finally
Yeah.
have, you know, finally take this thing to the next level, you know. And so I think for me, and I, you know, and there's a saying, I'd rather be lucky than good any day. But I think
Yeah.
I think luck plays a part in it, but I don't truly believe in luck. I believe, you know, it was just fated, you
Yep.
know,
Yeah.
and
The luck is usually God opening a door.
yeah, and persistence. You
Yeah.
know, I think, you know, a lot of people would have given up, but I never gave myself a backup plan. You know, I turned in my journeyman's license years ago.
Hmm.
So
Oh wow.
Love that.
Mm-hmm.
I
that's
think
it,
that's
man.
the part. I think
That's pretty much the way. I mean, I'm lucky. I'm not gonna lie. To be honest with you, I have to give a lot of props to my boy Colt Ford. If it wasn't
Oh,
for
yeah.
Colt, I would have never stopped making music, but I would have lost my touring business
oh
if it
wow.
wouldn't have been
Oh
for
yeah.
Colt Ford. And so I got to give him a lot of credit, leading me in the right direction with my current management,
Mm-hmm.
arcade management, Joe Barrick, my homeboy Joe Barrick over there. Me and him, you know, if you're an independent artist and you don't know how this works, the last thing you need, the last thing, and some people don't even ever get one, is a manager.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you ever sign a big record deal, that comes with management. It's kind of
Right.
it's you
Yeah.
know a given. But when you do it like I do it, and you're an independent artist, management isn't. You don't have a team of management. It's one person
Mhm.
that you click with, and you're like this. You know, it's
Yes.
like Elvis and Colonel Parker without Colonel Parker being a whatever he was,
Right.
a
Yes.
thief or what. I won't get into none of that. But no, me and Joe, man, he's completely turned my career around and helped me get my touring business turned around. So I'm excited this is the biggest tour I've ever done. Uh, Things are looking up. So I'm really optimistic.
Love that. Now you've kind of already hit on a few, just to see if there's any more. I always love to ask people about their team. So tell us if there's any more people around your team, because we always love to hear the stories behind the team.
Well, I signed with Arcade Management back in February of last year, and my career was in utter shambles. I mean, my touring business was just a mess. And I can't really get into none of that right now because I'm in court with them.
Oh wow,
Oh yeah.
that
So
makes sense.
Makes sense.
I'll just say that it wasn't pretty. Let's just put it that way. And ever since then, I've completely turned things around. I'm due to be debt free in February,
Oh, that's great.
a year
Congrats on
from
that.
the time I signed with Joe. So
Oh wow,
when I say Colt Ford saved my career, I'm not kidding, man. If he wouldn't have took me under his wing and got me with Joe, I don't know if I would have. I guess the good Lord would have, led me where he wanted me, but that's exactly where he wanted me. And looking back, we've had a big year this last year, and this next year is going to be really the year of us really taking it to another level. So I'm excited. Not only that, my daughter's getting into music, JC Fisher.
oh cool.
Oh,
She's
that's
she's putting
awesome.
out her first album this year. She's 27,
Yeah.
and I don't want to say I
If you
put it
want,
off.
if
I've
you
kind of
want,
left
she
it
can
up to
come on the show.
her. I've left it up to her because
Yeah.
I knew she wanted my help, and I wasn't willing to give it yet. But she's at an age now where I think she's ready. And so she's putting out an album this year, going to do a few shows with me, and we'll see where that goes. But 2025 is looking like a really, really good year for us.
Love that. And
Yeah.
if you want later on, she can come on the show too.
I would love to
That
have
would be
her.
cool.
Yes,
That
as
would be
well.
cool.
Yeah.
She's a
And
very, very good little sweet little girl, man. Very blessed as a dad.
speaking of teams, we have a third co-host,
Yes.
our
And
13-year-old,
family.
our
Yep.
13-year-old. So,
Yep. I'll go get him.
so while Sandy gets him, what's next for you, kind of?
Well, I'm going through a divorce. So my main thing is getting through that. That's kind of been a deal where, I didn't really know what I wanted.
Yeah.
So now that we move forward, that I've moved forward with actually knowing what I want. So my hearing's in February 13th for that. And the biggest tour of my career this year, Between Heaven and Hell tour. I have 2 new albums coming out this year, Between Heaven and Hell and Last of a Dying Breed. 36 new songs.
Oh, wow.
And so with that comes a lot of new videos, a lot of podcasts, a lot of all of that good stuff, a lot of content, basically.
Definitely know about the content because we have another channel called The Customized Ride where we go to car shows, the classic cars, low riders, and all that. And I film all that. And I developed a car show channel where in 2 years we went from 0 to 400,000 followers and 200 million video views within it.
Wow. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Well, thanks.
That's not easy to do. What's going on, buddy?
All right. Hey, Creed. So what's your favorite food?
My favorite food? Steak.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Because what's yours?
Pizza.
I like pizza too. I'm 50, so I got to stay away from it. But when I was your age, I ate a lot of it.
He can eat it. He can eat as much as he wants, though, right now. But so we all could, like you said, when we were.
All right. So I got another question. So what's one of the coolest experience you've had on your journey so far?
One of the coolest experiences. Well, here lately, one of the coolest experiences that I've had is getting to do music with my daughter. She's starting her career. Getting to be in the studio with her when she does her music has been really special. My grandkids were there, her mom, which is my ex-wife, and my girlfriend Roxy was there. And it was just special, being there with her in the studio and her starting her career. There was one time back in the day, I always say the coolest thing that ever happened to me. Back in my rowdier days, I was playing a show for the Waylon Jennings family because I'm from Odessa and they're all from Level Land, Littlefield area, the Lubbock area.
Mm-hmm.
And I was playing a show for them. And it was the first day, it was in November, that was really, really cold. And if you've ever been to West Texas, it gets really, really cold out there sometimes. And so I'm playing on a flatbed truck, right? Trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got these fires everywhere and everybody's huddled around these fires. I'm freezing to death. I'm on the stage, And so my buddy Rick, and that's why in the song Last Day of Our Life, it says Rick the Moonshine Man. My buddy Rick came up to me and he handed me a medium-sized jar of peach moonshine.
Wow.
Now, granted, I had moonshine. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's horrible. I never wanted much of that. It took one taste for me until I didn't want nothing to do with that. Well, you taste this peach moonshine, and this is a whole different ballgame. This is some good stuff, I tell you. And so I start drinking this peach moonshine, and it tastes really good. And I start warming up, right? I can start feeling my fingers again. Well, unfortunately, I drank the whole bottle, the whole mason jar. There was like this much left in the bottom, right? And so back in the day, at the end of the show, when we played for the Waylon Jennings family, we would let Waylon Jennings' nephew, Zach Jennings, we would let him play the drums because he was, I think he was about 12, maybe 13 at the time. And he would get up and he would play drums because he was a drummer. And so he was playing drums for us about three songs before the end of the show. And all I remember was being on the back part of that flatbed stage. And I said, play those damn drums, Zach. And I took a step back and there was no stage left. And off the back of the stage I went. It's the only time in my whole career I didn't finish the show.
Oh, wow.
Except Little Rock when I passed out on the stage last year. That was the time. That was when I quit drinking. When I woke up the next day, that was it for me. But so I'm sitting there, and that was the end of the show. Everybody runs back there and they're checking on me. They pick me up off the ground. Well, they take me over to the truck, and I'm on all fours, okay, and I'm dry heaving because at this point there's nothing left, right? Well, Waylon Jennings' brother, Bo Jennings, rest his soul, he walks by me and he goes, "It ain't easy being an outlaw, is it, son?" And so, yeah, that was the coolest thing that ever happened to me.
I love that.
All right, that's it.
You know,
Bye.
we've got a cool thing that happened to him.
Yeah, wait, hold on.
Which I'll tell the story. Our very first time going to Nashville. This was in 21. We were walking. We just got to Nashville. We checked in hotel, and then we went straight. We drove around a little bit, and then we went downtown. And we were walking. We got in front of Honky Tonk Central, and some guy runs out of Honky Tonk Central and hands him this drumstick, and said the drummer up there says that he'd like you to have that. So he said. So we thought that was cool. I mean, it's our first experience. So then we walk across the street. And we get we're in front of Dierks Bentley Road, and we're listening to the music there, but on the sidewalk. And the woman singer there looks out the window, sees a drumstick in his hand, jumps down, and says, "How would you like to play the drums up with us for one song?" So they pulls him through the window, and I jumped through too because I'm gonna film this. And they put him up there, and he's getting to hit the drums while they play Summer of '69.
Heck yeah.
Oh. And that was our
your rock star moment.
Yeah. All right.
That's funny, man.
Oh,
It's good to meet you, bud.
It was a cool experience too. All right, bye.
Good. Future drummer right there.
Yeah. That would be a cool drummer story if he ever became a drummer, right?
Yeah.
His first experience. So if you could co-write with any artist, dead or alive, who would it be?
Well, alive, I'd probably say Jamie Johnson.
Wow.
If he was dead, I'd probably say Elvis.
That'd be a good one.
Yeah.
Would love to be on the fly on the wall with Elvis.
Now, I don't know how much, I don't recall if Elvis ever wrote a song, but I'll tell you what. If not, I would write it and just hang out with him, and I would say we wrote it together. You know what I'm saying?
Well, he can come up with one word in there, and hey, y'all wrote the song together.
Elvis, give me one thing. Okay, there it is.
There you go. So, who's been your most supportive on this journey for you?
Oh, my daughter, JC. You know, we're so close. I grew up, you know, out in West Texas, and she was born in 96. No, 97 rather. She was born in 97. And she's been there every step of the way with me, you know. She's the one that had to put up with a lot of the women that I brought around during the early days.
Oh, wow.
And she's the one that took care of me when I wrecked, you know. I don't know what I would do without her, but I would say my parents too, you know, have been very supportive. But I think my daughter, JC, absolutely.
You know, going through all this threads where a bunch of people have commented, you got some great fans. Tell me a story of a fan story that kind of rings out to you.
Man, I got some crazy fans. I'll tell you that. Well, I had this one of my fans, she lives local, you know, she kept asking me, she kept wanting to bring me some stuff, and you know how it is, man. You kind of, you know, I shy away from giving out my address and things like that, you know, and she was pretty persistent, and I invited her over, and she came over, and she brought me some food, and, you know, it was just, you know, it was kind of cool, man, weird, but cool, you know, and I'm sitting there, and to be honest with you, I was still in my wheelchair at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And she's getting ready to leave, and she asked if she can pray over me, and I said, heck yeah, you can, you know. She takes out, you know what? At the end of the day, it was tea tree oil. At first, I was like, I recognize that smell, you know. She rubs tea tree oil on my face, and like we had a little ritual there, right in my living room, me and a fan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then I signed all of her swag she had and sent her on her way, but that was pretty interesting. I don't know, man. My fans they're the best. You know, they take care of me. I take care of them. You know, some of the coolest of my fans are kids.
Mhm.
You know, I can tell you that. You know, I really enjoy interacting with the young kids. Their parents listen to my music, you know, in front of them and in the car and at home, and you know, they know my music better than I do. You know, these little kids.
Yeah.
But other than that, man, I don't know.
That was
My
definitely a
fans
good
bring
one.
me all kinds of things. You know, I get lots of cool gifts and stuff. In this last year, I tell you what, man, the gifts were just over the top this year. I got a custom a custom AR-15
Oh wow.
that said, engraved in the side, it says Stars and Stripes Tour 2024, and it has a flag and it says Creed Fisher.
Oh wow.
Has a custom scope on it. It's not stock, you know, it's all kind of custom. I got given a shotgun, uh, countless, a couple guitars. I mean, it was a good year last year.
Love that. So as you know, if you do music next 5, 10, 15 years, and you're a success on a grand scale, whatever that looks like for you, you feel like you've made it. What do you hope you never forget along that journey?
I just hope I never forget where I come from. You know, I know I never will, but I just hope I never forget that, you know, that the good Lord's always there with me. You know, that was one thing. I wrote the song This Side of Heaven that's on the new album. And I wrote that song in the hospital. And it's, you know, I hope I never forget how I felt in that hospital. You know,
Wow.
I had a week before that, you know, I say to people, you know, don't take nothing for granted, because, you know, a week before that, I had what I thought was the relationship of my dreams, the career of my dreams. It was all just getting ready to just be perfect.
Wow.
And a week later, I was single. I almost killed myself on a motorcycle.
God.
And I was facing about 3 weeks in the hospital, you know. So I just hope I never forget that feeling, you know, and of how that felt laying in that hospital bed, just wanting to do things the right way and wanting to get back at it, wanting to get back to doing what I love to do, you know. I always want that feeling of like I haven't accomplished enough, you know.
Yeah. That hunger.
That hunger, yeah.
Because I remember I asked somebody, one of my friends who spoke in front of thousands of people as a speaker, and I'm sure you feel this way too. But I remember asking him, does he ever get nervous? And he said, and I'll never forget this profound thing he said. He says, I got these people's lives in my hand. If I ever get to the point where I have zero butterflies or no nerves, I will quit. It means it's over.
Yeah. That means you've lost the ability to understand how important it is,
Yep.
you know. And I feel the same way with my career, you know. I'm just blessed to be where I'm at after everything, after the wreck, after everything I've been through. So that's one thing I'll never, you know, I'm gonna just want to build on this year, the things I learned last year, you know, just to stay humble and keep things simple and to work hard and trust in the good Lord, you know.
Love that.
So,
So as we close out here, what advice would you give somebody who wants to do what you do?
do it your own way. Don't let nobody else tell you how to fail, you know. And to be honest with you, I would say you need to realize that the biggest part of the music business is the business. I mean, it's 80% of it, you know. I've seen so many people that had the talent that they didn't have the business side of it figured out. You know, it's the same thing with me, and I could have easily been just like one of them, you know. But just stay true to yourself is what I would say. You gain some leverage before you ever sign with anybody, and the last thing you ever need is a manager. You'll know
You'll know
when
when.
when you get so busy that you're so stressed that you can't handle it and you can't manage it. that's when, and until then, you don't need a manager. You have nothing to manage. If you can manage it yourself, you don't need a manager, and you don't need to sign until you have leverage. That would
Exactly.
be, my advice, and to do it the right way and stay true to yourself.
I love what you said there because I remember when we interviewed a couple years ago Joe Kelly, and he was talking about that. He says, in this day and time, we're in the era of the independent. And he says that if you ever sign before you need to be signed, he says you just got screwed. Whether you believe it or not, you got screwed. He says nobody should he said you don't need a label no more until it gets too much to where you can't handle it. He said that's when you need a label, and that's when you can sign your own check then.
He nailed it. And that's why I've always been such a skeptic about The Voice and America's Got Talent and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you win, you're going to get the short end of the stick.
Look at Gabby Barrett. She came in third, but she was blessed by coming in third because she didn't have all the rules in.
She didn't have to sign. You're not going to have any leverage coming off that show. And if you look at all the people that come off that show, very seldom do they go on to do great things.
Mm-hmm.
Very great lasting things, It's the era of the independent, And I'm blessed to have done music when I did because, back in the day, back in Waylon's time, you didn't have the outlets that we have today,
Yeah.
You couldn't get your music out like we do today.
It's kind of like a catch-22 because although it's easier to get your music out, but then everybody can get their music out. So it's almost a catch-22 because of that.
I always feel like if it's cream rises to the top, and if it's good, people are going to see it eventually. Yep. And the thing about music is very subjective. So what one person thinks is good, another person might think it's not good. I don't know who's right and who's wrong, but I
don't think nobody really is.
Exactly. So I just think it's a good thing all the way around. I mean, yeah, more people, everybody's got a CD these days. But at the end of the day, I mean, I don't see that as a bad thing, People, I mean, if it makes them happy, put a CD out if it makes you happy. If that's what makes you happy, if that's going to brighten your day, if that's going to make your life better, just because you don't make it in music doesn't mean you can't have a CD and be proud of it,
Exactly. I love that. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. So as we end here, any final parting words?
Well, I just want to tell you guys, thanks for having me, first and foremost.
We appreciate you coming on.
I want to thank the fans for listening, for having our backs all these years, and just say, come see us on this new tour, Between Heaven and Hell. You can pick up your tickets at creedfisher.com. And when you come out to one of my shows, unless I'm playing an arena, you actually get to meet me. I come back in the bar, I meet everybody. I stay till the last person's gone.
Love that.
Now, even in the arena, I just played my first arena show with Brian Martin, because I always wondered how I would do this, And the protocol in an arena show is I might be accessible a little bit before the show. You might see me out there, And then after I play, the hardest part is especially I opened up for Brian Martin. So there's an etiquette that goes there. And so what I did was I went to the rail on the side of the stage, and I took pictures and signed autographs until he went on. When the lights went back off, then I got to go out of respect. But I'm very accessible to my fans, especially if it's not an arena, if it's just a bar that I'm playing. I always go back in and try to meet everybody. So
love that. And you can definitely tell the fans love you.
Yes.
And as we close out, you're always welcome to come back on our show anytime. And like I said, if you want to get your daughter on in the future, let us know.
I would love that. We'll make that happen.
Sounds good.
Sounds great.
All right,
Yes.
guys.
We'll talk with y'all soon.
All right.
Absolutely. Thanks for
Thank
having me,
you
guys. Bye.
again. Bye.